Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, has officially come out with episode 3, and I have to say this was another really awesome episode. A lot of things going on at once, a lot of cutting back and forth between different scenes and characters, but it was all done so seamlessly, and again, movie quality and great lighting and music throughout, and I'm just excited that I can actually talk about Bleach weekly with everyone else, because I literally have no idea what's going on right now. Yeah, this is another great episode, and I can't wait to get into it with you guys. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really, really does help, and it shows that you guys want me to continue doing Bleach content in the future. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's hit that intro and get right into the video. So Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc starts off from the end of last episode with Ichigo confronting Oopie, the Stern Ritter J, as he basically took down the Tresbestia off screen after they showed up to try and take him down. Oopie realizes who Ichigo is and designates himself as a special threat, most likely because he's just insanely powerful, especially compared to most Soul Reapers. And Ichigo realizes after seeing the bows and arrows that Oopie uses after he attacks him that he is in fact a Quincy. Oopie attacks, even his fodder soldiers launch a few arrows at Ichigo, and he gets hit and put into a big cloud. We then cut into the Soul Society after this attack, without knowing the result, as Yamamoto is talking to the 13 Choreographed Squad after Kurotsuchi's report from the last episode about how the enemies they're facing are most likely Quincy's. And I like how Shunsui is just being like very nonchalant about this, but is very concerned of this going on. And Yamamoto says what the intruder said about 5 days they'll come and invade the Soul Society, but he literally is like, we cannot trust these guys, especially since they came here to declare war against us. From this very moment, all squads are to prepare for war. Cutting back to Hueco Mundo, Ichigo then gets revealed from the dust cloud as he actually manages to catch all of the Quincy arrows that were launched at him and throws them right back at Oopie. Oopie is unscathed by this, most likely able to dodge and parry the attacks, but then he goes on to attack Ichigo with another arrow as Ichigo manages to block and dodge it. As Ichigo says that Oopie seems a lot stronger than Uryu, Oopie's confused by this very assumption, being like, how can I be stronger than Uryu? That doesn't seem right. But apparently, this sets up the seeds from what I can tell is that Uryu is a lot stronger than he is, or he has so much potential to be way stronger than this Oopie guy. There's definitely going to be a lot more going on with Uryu, because there is a section in this episode dedicated to Uryu and what he's doing during all this. Oopie definitely knows of who Uryu is, but is like confused at the fact that he is considered stronger than Uryu. I'm curious to see where that plot thread is going. He then contacts Yuwak from, I believe, a psychic link, I believe, and he is given permission to attack and kill Ichigo. Oopie then decides to just try and end this fight a lot quicker and uses his trump card, special last resort ability of that most Quincy's can use, as he then begins to absorb Reishi in the atmosphere and he transforms into this angelic being. But as we get this nice imagery of this big pillar of Reishi light towering up into the sky as it dissipates, revealing Oopie's new form. Ichigo recognizes this kind of from what Uryu has told him about this ability, but doesn't really waste any time as we cut back to Yuha. As he is informed about Oopie's battle against Ichigo, he then says it's time to invade the Soul Society, as we get to see a lot of the Stern Ritters getting ready to enter the Gate of the Sun, is what it's called, so they can attack the Soul Society. But then we cut back to Hueco Mundo as Ichigo continues to fight Oopie. But Oopie is a lot faster than Ichigo for a good bit, but then Ichigo manages to try and use a Getsuga Tensho point blank. But it ends up not doing anything to Oopie, as it's literally just there touching Oopie's neck but not doing anything at all. And then Oopie decides to try and absorb more Reishi in the atmosphere to make himself a lot stronger, and goes on to explain the difference between his and Uryu's abilities, how his is a lot stronger and doesn't have any of the drawbacks where Uryu's had drawbacks. But as he's absorbed the Reishi, he gets hit by Aeon, this big monstrous berserker creature that the Tresbestia can create when they sacrifice their left arms, and it begins to attack and pummel Oopie. As we then cut to Uryu's section as he's trying to search his family library in the Uryu family, in the Ishida family home, to try and find a clue to the Stern Ritters and the Wandenreich. After confronting his father just now, after basically running him without permission, mission. He talks about how with everything that he's heard with the attack on the Soul Society and Wake Mundo and everything that's going on, he assumes that these people are Quincy's. It kind of leads up to it, and he's wondering what the hell is going on, as him and his father are supposed to be the only Quincy's around. His father's not giving him any answers. Ryukin is just being like, it doesn't concern you, but Uryu just says, I'm a Quincy too, I deserve to know the truth. As Ryukin is just like, what you're looking for is not. I'll come back to Uryu again, because it's going to be like back and forth with a different scene. But now we cut to the Soul Society once more to the gate with Yuki and Shion, the new Soul Reapers from episode 1, talking to this random guy as they're wondering what the heck is up with the Soul Reaper and the Quincy differences and why they're at war. As we get a nice exposition dump and basically like recap of the whole Quincy Soul Reaper beef thing, the Soul Society just had enough of this failed dialogue. We're just like, we're just gonna exterminate them all. So the Quincy extermination happened 200 years ago, leaving like the Ishida family and some random small Quincy families most likely to survive, thus giving us Uryu, his grandfather, eventually dying, so just Uryu and Ryukin being the last Quincy's alive. Basic rundown. And I like that. It's a nice little recap for people that don't really remember the whole Quincy stuff. But all this that's going on is going back and forth between Uryu's scene and this explanation as he's reading a journal that he found in his father's old study when he realizes that that's the place that he should look, that his father would have the important information. And his grandfather, his master, had a journal and apparently detailing a lot of key information that is currently happening like right now, like the Wandenreich, attack on the Soul Society and stuff like that, everything that's going on. The thing that everyone calls His Majesty, and Ryukin knew all of it, but he just chose not to say anything, as just says it does not concern Uryu, as Uryu just gets pissed off and is angry, sad, bunch of mixed emotions. He even talks about something with his mother, which for him to say that, there's definitely some plot relevance there, so I want to know more. But yeah, Uryu gets angry and just ends up leaving, as that scene with Uryu ends up finishing. With that, we cut back into the Soul Society with Yamamoto, who had called Captain Kurotsuchi to his office. And Kurotsuchi is not wasting any time. He's just being like, so I assume you're here because of what I did to the Rakongai district. As it's revealed that from episode 1, when we learned about the Rakongai district basically being, spirited away or disappearing, the residents in that district being gone, it turns out it was Kurotsuchi and his research and development team that just exterminated that whole town for the main reason that they wanted to maintain the balance due to the quick extermination of the Hollows in the world of the living. And he basically had no choice. But Yamamoto's like, you should have come to me first without having to go behind my back. I would have given permission since this was most likely an emergency. But Kurotsuchi wasn't sure due to the fact that he kind of brushed off after everything was going on. Uryu infiltrating the Soul Society all that time ago during the Soul Society arc. It's like, I had a feeling that something like this would happen and the Quincy's would be back, but Yamamoto kind of brushed it off apparently. I don't know who you can get that from, just Uryu coming in with a substitute Soul Reaper and some humans, but it's Kurotsuchi we're talking about, so a bunch of stuff can happen in that head of his that he could think of. But we then get this very important piece of dialogue, but we learn that apparently all this is going on with the Quincy's because Yamamoto failed to kill, quote-unquote, that person, as it's the image of Yuabak. There are different pronunciations for the man's name. Yuwak, as apparently these two fought before. Yamamoto and Yuwak fought before, and Yamamoto failed to kill him, and that's the whole thing. This was 1,000 years ago. So the 1,000 part of the 1,000-year Blood War arc kind of makes a lot more sense. This is only episode 3, and we kind of know what the 1,000-year Blood War arc kind of means. And we'll only know about the Blood War later on in this episode. But yeah, that's a very important piece of world building and information. That's honestly very interesting, and I can't wait to see what we're going to get into, because this screams flashback arc. When these two eventually clash, it's going to be legendary. But we cut back to Wake Mundo as Oopie is getting manhandled by Tresbestia's monster as he is thrown and buried in the dirt. One of the Tresbestia comes up being all cocky, being like, oh, you were so cocky, yet you managed to lose to this thing. But then she gets stabbed in the chest and collapses to the ground as Oopie just picks himself back up and kind of fixes his broken neck, acting like he wasn't even really hurt. As he talks about His Majesty's blood that needs to be like readjusted or something like that. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm interested to see what's going on. But after he gets up, he then begins to absorb more reishi, as he then absorbs Aeon completely, and Aeon and like the reishi in the atmosphere kind of gets absorbed into him, and his angelic form ends up changing again, but is looking less angelic and more demonic and disastrous. He then even starts to absorb parts of the people in the area from Urihime, Hime, her Sankenketsu protective shield, Chad's arm, the other hollows. It's just insane. He's absorbing and absorbing and absorbing until Ichigo makes the save, attacking Oopie from behind and kind of cracking or breaking off a piece of that crown that's absorbing the reishi. As he kind of figured out that since the reishi is going in through that, if Ichigo damages it, he can stop the reishi absorption. But this is Ichigo and Bankai, which means now we're getting into the serious fight. And the action for this, very quick, is honestly very awesome and looks great, and I can't wait to see the continuation of this fight in the next episode. But as we get this fight starting, we cut back to the Soul Society as a big explosion of blue flaming reishi bursts from the front gate. As before this, Yhwach was above the Soul Society. He appears above the Soul Society, and now the Stern Ridders have invaded the Soul Society. And the first person to fall is, well, it's, I think, Lieutenant Kira, who gets a blast through his right side, big hole in his right side, right arm gone, collapsed on the floor. I think he's dead. He could be dead. I believe he's dead. I believe he's completely killed. And more Soul Reapers begin to attack these Stern Ridders, and they then begin to just slaughter all the Soul Reapers. We see a lot of familiar faces right before this when a bunch of reishi pillars appear. We see Rukia again, which I can't wait to see her. This is the first time we actually saw Rukia and her speaking. Same with Renji. And I can't wait to see them like fight in this arc. I haven't seen them in so long, I cannot wait. But yeah, the Soul Reapers are getting slaughtered, and it literally ends with one of the Stern Ridders in the hood basically being like, their time is now, we are your executioners. The war has begun. Ending the episode. Another really awesome episode. Pacing was fast as all hell. It felt like this was like a 5-10 minute long episode with how quick this was. So much world building and everything was going on with the Quincy's. What's going on with Uryu, the fights between Ichigo and Oopie is really getting started now, because now things are getting all serious. Oopie's abilities are freaking OP as all hell. The Quincy's abilities are OP as all hell since they can absorb reishi with that ability. Oh man, a lot of stuff is going on. I just cannot wait for the next episode. So let me know in the comments down below what was changed, what was added, and what was removed from this episode, and hell, even the last 2 episodes if that was the case also. And also don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on the episode, what you liked, what you disliked, as well as theories if you've not read the manga about what's going to happen next, and what you're looking forward to seeing as well. But once more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help, and it does show you guys want me to do more Bleach content in the future. But with all that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you all have an awesome day.